The Dead Sea is a lake, and its misclassification is fueling a massive environmental tragedy. Because you call it a sea, you fail to protect it as a fragile, closed system. The name is a lie that is slowly killing one of the world's most unique landmarks. You might wonder why labels matter when the water is clearly receding. But names dictate policy, and policy determines survival. We will look at why we mislabel these bodies of water and how that error haunts the Dead Sea today. First, we must admit that our language for water is broken. The word sea can be used for specific, smaller bodies of seawater such as the North Sea or the Red Sea. We apply the term loosely, ignoring that there is no clear distinction between seas and oceans, though seas are generally larger and often enclosed by land. We categorize by size and perceived importance rather than biology. If you think the Sea of Galilee is a sea, you have already fallen for the trap. It is a freshwater lake. By naming it a sea, we give it a stature that ignores its delicate, landlocked reality. This confusion extends to the Dead Sea itself. It is a landlocked basin, smaller than any true sea, yet the name carries a weight that creates a false sense of permanence. We treat seas as infinite, vast, and eternal. We treat lakes as finite, manageable, and vulnerable. This is the reframe. What if the loss of the Dead Sea is just a symptom of our inability to define what we are actually holding? As the shoreline retreats by more than a meter every year, we watch a lake vanish while we speak about it like an ocean. The physical water is disappearing because we treat it like a limitless reservoir instead of a vanishing puddle. We ignore the intake, we ignore the evaporation, and we rely on a name that suggests it can never be empty. If the Dead Sea were legally treated as a lake, local conservation laws would shift overnight. Currently, we manage it as a resource of the sea, which implies abundance. But you are looking at a system that is fundamentally closing in on itself. Seas are generally larger than lakes and contain salt water, but the Dead Sea is a hyper-saline trap that cannot replenish itself at current rates of human extraction. We confuse the geography, we confuse the status, and we ignore the countdown. The water level continues to drop, leaving behind sinkholes that swallow the earth around the coast. The paradox is that the more we try to define it, the less we actually understand it. We rely on labels that do not match the scientific reality of the basin. The tragedy is that we are witnessing a permanent shift in our map, driven by a simple linguistic error that has grown into a policy catastrophe. The water is not coming back because the name we gave it suggests it is an ocean-sized feature, when in reality, it is a drying lake. We have to stop calling it a sea if we want to save what remains of the water. The shift in perspective requires you to see the world not as it is named, but as it physically exists. One day soon, the map will need to be redrawn to reflect a basin that is no longer full or perhaps no longer there at all. If the logic of water naming fascinates you, the history of how we map the deep ocean is next. Subscribe to catch it.